US stock market came back to the spotlight last week as the three major indices, the S&P 500, the NASDAQ 100, and the Dow Jones 30 index, all reached fresh all-time highs. Nvidia reported record-high revenue and earnings figures exceeding estimates by Wall Street analysts. The metal market was relatively calm in a week of an uneventful economic calendar. Crude oil price once again failed to break through the mark of $80, while natural gas price saw some recovery, rising by more than 10%. The markets will continue to dwell on last week's results of Nvidia, which has lately been the biggest AI value driver within the stock markets. In addition to that, fourth quarter US GDP data will be released on Wednesday. The second reading is expected to confirm that the US economy grew by 3.3% in the fourth quarter of 2023. Also, this week on Thursday, the PCE price index, inflation data preferred by the Fed, will be released in the US. Nvidia rose 8.54% last week, hitting a fresh all-time high above the mark of $800. Nvidia reported higher than expected revenue figures, $22.1 billion versus $20.41 billion expected, and greater than expected earnings per share, $5.16 versus $4.60 expected. In addition to that, Nvidia said that it expects to rake in $24 billion in the first quarter of 2024, which is much more than the previously expected $21.5 billion. Nvidia also said that it will start paying out dividends of 4 cents per quarter. ARM extended its gains last week, adding 3.9% to its value. With that, ARM has increased around 89% in February, continuing to follow Nvidia's trajectory as the company remains Nvidia's chip architecture supplier in 2024. In addition to that, ARM announced last week a partnership with Neuro, a leading autonomous technology company aiming at developing integrated autonomous driving systems. Advanced Micro Devices, or simply AMD, has also hit fresh all-time highs earlier in February, testing levels above $180 a share. AMD is considered Nvidia's closest competitor when it comes to providing generative AI chips. AMD has started to offer its own MI300 and MI300X chips, which are expected to bring more than $4 billion to the company in 2024. The AMD stock has increased by around 19% in 2024. Crude oil pulled back from last week's highs, testing levels close to $76 as the Middle East situation maintained a status quo. Crude oil failed to break through the mark of $80 to the upside, as the latest reports showed that there is still a possibility for a hostage swap deal between Israel and Hamas. Israel, however, has said that even if there is a deal, they will go ahead with their intention to eliminate the last battalions of Hamas in the city of Rafah, a move heavily condemned by the international community. Gold tested its highest price in over 2 weeks, hitting levels above $2,040 last week on relatively high geopolitical tensions. Later this week, gold could be expected to rise in volatility as the second reading of US fourth quarter GDP will come out on Wednesday, while the Fed's preferred inflation data, PCE index, will be released on Thursday. The data will be closely watched by traders and investors due to their impact on the Fed's decision on the interest rate policy in 2024. The EUR-USD continued to recover, testing its highest value in 3 weeks, $1.8867. The pair managed to recover from its 3-month low, $1.06936, last tested in mid-February. The US dollar is expected to remain volatile due to a string of important economic data releases. Later this week, US fourth quarter GDP will be posted in the US, while next week already fresh labor market data in the US will be released. On March 12th, the February data on US inflation will be released, and the US Fed will announce its latest interest rate decision on March 20th. Meanwhile, the European Central Bank will meet on March 7th to announce its latest monetary policy decisions.